Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are back working on the little shop truck project. So last time was a pretty fun addition to the truck by putting that Auburn dash in there. It really stepped the look of the truck up a notch, and I'm really happy with it. So the main reason I mentioned in the other video that we were doing that first is because we needed a way to mount the steering column, steering box, because we were not going with an original Model 8 box. Original Model 8 boxes, while they do work okay, the steering ratio on them is pretty poor, and the feel of the steering on them is not very great, especially when you start putting a flathead V8 or something that just goes a little bit faster than the Banger. It is good to update the steering if possible. So one of the things that people like to do is they go all the way forward to a like 48 to 51 or even later F1 or F100 steering box. They have an improved sector gear in there, sector shaft, and the gear and everything in there is improved. The bearings and everything in them are actually better. They have a quicker ratio. They steer nicer. It's basically like putting power steering on a Model A. But it is a bigger steering box, and it does require some modifications. There are some guys out there that do that for you. But we're trying to keep with an earlier style on this car, and also keep it a little more simple. So what I have is a 34 Ford steering box that I got in one of our excursions. This one was rebuilt to be put in a restored car, but then was never used. I had a spare steering column left over from the Skelly 34, and we are going to try and use the steering box. The nice thing with the 32 to 34 steering boxes are they do have improved steering, especially 33 4 boxes over a 32, but even over a Model A. And the other nice thing is that the flange is fairly small on these 32 to 4 boxes, so it actually will fit in a Model A frame without having to chop an ear off or do any kind of major surgery. And for me doing a quick mock-up, it looks like it'll be pretty close. Now the big problem with this steering box and a V8, or any steering box and putting a V8 in here, is the engine ends up running into, the corner of the engine runs into the steering column tube. If we try and put it in the stock location, just with the angle it needs to be, it just runs right into the corner of the left side of the engine here. So what I think we're going to do is not use those holes and move back just a little bit further. That'll allow the angle of the steering column to not interfere with the edge of the engine. And then what we'll have to do eventually is cut the steering column tube and the steering column itself down. We've done that in other videos. We have to machine a little sleeve, plug weld it, and do all that type of stuff to make sure it's safe. But I think it is the better solution out of all the evils that we're dealing with here. So I am going to get this fit up. We have to weld up a couple holes here first that are in the frame where we want to roughly put it. Then we can work on measuring and hole sawing a hole into the frame here for the sector to go through. And then we can basically start fitting it up and see where we want the angle to be and all that fun stuff. And hopefully have this thing steering by the end of the video. This is one of my best tool purchases.
That is a neat piece of equipment.
I'm cutting 1/8" steel, 1/2" plugs to fill that frame.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's, whoops. Oh, that's for a stop. Oh, that's really nice. It's got a little lip on it so that you don't just punch through and smash your hand.
Nice.
Stops it. Keep going. You go more? Ah, there we go.
Close to the...
Well, we're in.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, you can drop back down.
Okay, coming down.
Yeah, there's just like, there's literally a point where the casting's a little big.
Yeah.
And it was hitting on a bolt of the... Well, that's not... Perfect. I had just enough room.
Did it got clear?
Yeah, it's just clears everything.
Nice.
Got like that.
Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Our high-tech steering column mount.
It's still,
Still feels like it's too high.
and it's still just a hair higher than the shifter.
Oops. I think what's happened, me pulling it over is wanting to pull it up too.
Yeah. I don't know if that's comfortable enough, but it looks good.
No, that feels, that's gonna be a lot better. It'll be,
Yeah, it looks good there. It's on the same angle as the shifter, and
okay. Yeah, you could have it way back here.
that looks like a good spot. Is it comfortable-ish?
Yeah, I mean my arms aren't like straight out,
Yeah.
and it gives you way more room to get in and out of the car.
Mm-hmm. That looks like it.
So it's going to be dropped down quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
I'll have to see. I think if we figure out how far to cut this and mock that up, then we could set our angle, a final angle. We could
Yeah.
drill those holes. But right now, I don't want to. You almost need to have the steering wheel mounted.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're going to want the steering wheel like there, as long as your knuckles fit between it.
Right.
So if there's something like that, that's a good. Even being short, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good spot for
And then the
it.
gas pedal will be like right here, brake there, clutch is here. I think it's pretty good. I'm not gonna wait. Keyway out. There we go. Where did that keyway fly to? I heard it go. Oh, is that it? Little trunk? Yes. Good eye. It's all waffled up. That's all right. Probably want to go. Cut there. Cut 6. Okay. Somewhere in there that'll get that. There we go. There. Now,
A little lower.
needs to go lower.
No, it's lower. It needs to go higher.
All right, go ahead and tilt it.
Probably about like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Now we'll try and.
It pushed over to the middle, but that's about
Yeah, it's
the
just
right
the way,
angle.
just the way I'm clamp them. Does that look? Maybe I'll take the keyway out. What's going on? What do you think, Steve? Looking for your opinion. Have to shorten the shifter, but it feels like really good.
It looks good.
Like, put your arm on the edge of this door.
Perfect, yeah. Your arm's right on it, yep. Yeah.
I mean, it has a little bit of room. You can put padding on the seat to get yourself up just a little bit. I think that's the, like, literally right there, it feels perfect.
Yep.
I could go further. I could go further in, but I think it'll be awkward. I think this is like.
It doesn't look. The wheel doesn't look out of place there.
I just like that when you got a spot where you could, you know, when you're cruising.
Definitely.
Arm on the top, you could just steer like this.
Absolutely.
Just have to shorten the shifter just a little bit because it hits, you know, going into first or reverse. But that's again small.
Right. Small issues.
Yeah, we can. Nah, that's the spot.
Yeah, I think I don't see it looking better. I don't see it being able to.
Because actually, if you take an inch off, it's going to put it into your lap more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'll just move the tube. The tube has room. You can sink it on the box. So I haven't sunk all the way on, so I just gonna pull it off the box.
Oh, okay.
To get that gap taken up.
Yep.
Jeez, lady. Okay. It's a good day to mess up my back. Phillips head screw, isn't it, or flathead? It's a square. It's a square nut or something. Oh, we're through. Yeah. All right. All right, so in the last couple shots you saw I was making up this little sleeve. So this is something that I commonly do when you have to shorten these steering columns on early Fords. This is a pretty normal thing that you have to do. So you have to cut the steering column tube, and then you need to make a sleeve. This is much like when we showed shortening the drive shaft on their torque tube cars and different things like that. So if you don't have a lathe, it's a good time to get a lathe or a mill, lathe and a mill. So what I did is I actually took, this is kind of a, I didn't realize it until after we made it, but it's crazy how these things work. This is what started out as a piece of an original Ford torque tube drive shaft, and this was a section that I had cut off when we were shortening a drive shaft, and I had it just in my scrap metal bin. And once I was like machining it, I was like, there's like grooves from the machining on it that you could see somewhere in here, and it dawned on me that's just how the drive shafts are on flathead powered cars. So this was the perfect size. It basically is the steering column itself is just over 3/4 of an inch. It's like looking at my notes here, 0.753 is what it is. So what I did was I took a 0.75 or a 3/4 drill bit, and I put it in the lathe, and we bored this out with that 3/4 drill bit. Now a drill bit does wander a little bit and can tend to make the hole just a little bit bigger than 3/4. So ended up working out good. This is just under 753 or right at 753. And what that did is it gave me basically an interference fit. So For anybody that's not familiar with that term, that basically means that this will not go on without being pressed or heated, or the other part froze, something like that, to actually allow it to slide on. What this does, it gives you a really nice tight fit. It also trues up the shaft. So when you drive this on here, I have about an inch on either side that we're going to drive this on to both pieces. It also helps true itself up when you're tapping it on, because when you have it heated and then it shrinks down and grabs on, it basically makes it so tight that it will kind of true itself for the most part, and you have a better chance of this being not too out of round when you go to finish it up. So I went ahead and drilled some holes, through holes here. What you can do with these is you can either hammer this down on and then run this hole with a drill bit through the steering column tube, and you can pin it, or if you're comfortable enough with welding, you can go ahead and plug weld it, and then we're also going to weld around the ends. I did also chamfer the inside, the ID, so that it helps it a little bit when we drop it down on. So I have kind of like a little fixture set up here. So we have this little set of vice grips and the vice here, and our sleeves on here. So what I'm going to do is take the torch, and with Steve's help, we're going to heat this, and then quick grab it with these vice grips, and we have a hammer and a driver. I'm going to put this on, tap it on, and hopefully everything fits on and seats down on really well, and then we can swap over, put the steering box in here, and do the same thing with this shaft with the sleeves. So fingers crossed everything goes well and we get it on first try. Hiya. See, in the winter time, I like the torch because it heats you up.
Right.
Figured I'd switch so I can hand you the torch a little easier.
Yep.
Always green first.
All right, green first, okay.
When you're shutting off.
Right. I knew that there would be a specific order to go in.
Otherwise it pops real loud and scary. It is also a little dangerous. But.
Right.
Hey, that worked out pretty damn
Hell
nice.
yeah, that thing popped right on there.
Went down halfway. I got a little room to weld weld in between there.
Yeah, that definitely worked good.
Although there's an engine hanging, I gotta take a photo of this.
This is called multitasking.
I'll wait till the torch is lit.
Which one do I turn off first?
Green.
Green.
So you can just hold. You can leave it lit, keep it in the air, and nod at my face.
Yeah, right.
OSHA, is this okay?
Right. Engines hanging midair, standing on a bench with a torch.
At least he's got his safety glasses on.
He does.
Plus.
And gloves. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're barely gloves anymore.
Yeah. I can see, I think, 2/3 of his fingers.
Like we get closer, Steve.
Yeah.
There you go.
About to fall out of the vice.
I think it like fell right on.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Jumpy. Come on. Come on, not this way. There you go.
So that's all the way to lock. And that's all the way to lock. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Chase those threads on the nut.
Damn.
Hey.
It looks vaguely steering-ish.
Yeah, vaguely steering. All right, let's take it to California.
Yep. All right, hit the road.
Let's go. All right, so after a lot of work, we have a steering wheel that turns and will steer in both directions. We're able to basically get 98% of the steering radius that it would have had from stock, which is kind of a big accomplishment with a drop axle, split wishbones, all the stuff that we're doing here. It worked out pretty well. So now we can finally steer the truck around, which is really nice. We didn't do any of the alignment on this. I think I'm going to heat and drop the steering arm itself just to get a little bit better of a drag link angle so that we don't have a crazy amount of bump steer. So by getting that down just a little bit, it will definitely help when you're driving this thing. So for the cliff notes of this video, for anybody that's interested in doing a similar project, some of the stuff you need and reasons we did the things we did. So A, we used a 33-34 steering box. The reason we use that is it has a better steering ratio and steering internals, if you will, than a Model A box, and even I think a 32 box, 33.4 is a little better. So it's going to give it a little bit better steering. No, it is not as good as an F1, but the reason we use this is the flange fits right into the Model A frame. So I did not have to cut ears off or grind away at the steering box. It fit right in there, and we just punched our new holes and it bolted in essentially like stock, so to speak. So that's really nice. If you're looking to put a little bit better steering box in, but you don't want to do all the crazy amount of work, you can use a 33.4 box, but they are getting hard to find and they are a little pricey, but I was lucky enough to have a rebuilt one on the shelf. B, the next thing was we ended up moving the steering box back about 7 inches or 7.5 inches from the stock Model A location. Reason we did that is A, it got the steering box away from the engine, so it now clears the engine, and B, it also gets the exhaust setup is a lot easier. We're not running right into the steering box, which is another good thing. On the inside here, after moving it back about 7 inches to get it to fit and feel good with the steering wheel, I shortened the column about 6 inches. And we shortened the column, and then obviously the column tube itself, got that in, and we just used a 40 Ford wheel. The nice thing about the 33.4 steering boxes versus a Model A is with this one you could fit pretty much any of the early V8 era steering wheels will go right on this. So you could put a banjo wheel on here, a 40 Ford wheel, 46-8 Ford wheel, pretty much all those will interchange, gives you a lot of options. So by doing that, it works out really nice with this steering box. And then I ended up using a 30s Chrysler steering column drop, which is starting to get obscure, just because I had one laying around and it fit right up to the Auburn dash and used the same sort of column mounting system as the rest of it. So yeah, everything's together. Just a couple little things we had to do, and we now have steering on our Model A shop truck, which is a huge win on this truck. Now that we got a steering, we got the engine in, we know the engine runs, we're at the point probably next of doing pedals, drive shaft, and then we could probably hotwire this thing and take it around the block maybe. So that would be really cool. I can't wait for that. So thank you guys for following along. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this video helps some of you guys if you're starting out doing Model A projects. Just shows you some of the things you might run into and hopefully gives you a jump off point for some of your own ideas to build your project. Thanks guys. Catch you later.